projection.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Taking It Down. We are the pop culture podcast from analytical, Alabama TV loving minds, and film, and music, and books. We're produced by the site thealabamatake.com. I'm one of the hosts, Blaine Duncan. It's often that I wonder why I like what I like, and why I hate what I hate. And then there's this little fact that in my spare time, I'm also an English teacher. I'm always looking at how things are put together, especially films, TV, books, music. Kind of stems from the fact that I was an 80s kid who grew up in front of a TV and loved the theater. But mine isn't the only viewpoint you're going to get. With me is an erudite musician with a penchant for fine literature. His name's Adam Morrow, and our other host is a media specialist who happens to be a big film buff with encyclopedic knowledge on many subjects. That's going to be Donovan Reinwald. We'll hear from them both very soon. For this week's Taking It Down, two major things. We're going to parse through thoughts on the career of Adam Sandler as a whole, as well as our takes on the Jordan Peele movie Nope, which is in theaters now. Hopefully we're allowing for you to have some semi-deep thoughts on movies and shows for your upcoming dinner you're going to have, or maybe we're just your soul friends in life and you wait every Tuesday for us. Either way, we love you. Well, here they are. On one side of me, here's the guy who keeps watch on all the neighborhood raccoons. It's Adam Morrow.
You know, you said we're the only friends and you wait for every Tuesday. Well, I wait every Sunday to talk to you guys. In between, it's just those raccoons.
Just me and the raccoons. Chatting with the raccoons. Yeah.
If I could chat with them, then I could get rid of them.
Sit down and explain to them that what they're doing is wrong.
Fellas.
Adam runs Kodachrome Gardens with the help of his wife and several other in the community. Follow them online and you'll get more of a hint of what we're talking about. Our other host, you've already heard his voice. He's here. He loves the smell of a book. It's Donovan Reinwald.
Thanks for having me, Blaine.
Always welcome.
I do love the smell of a book.
Hey, yeah. Who doesn't? Old, new. Damn. We always begin things with our weekly Done Up, a real good listener of the week. Use that hashtag, Done Up Real Good. We'll find you and kill you. No, we won't. We'll just...
Jeez.
I know, that got dark quick. Well, we are covering Nope later, so... let's award our listener of the week. It's none other than Mark Falk from Canada.
Mark Allen Falk.
Mark, of course, will be the recipient of a new, beautiful, refreshing dilly bar. Shout out to Mark as he makes music as well. He's not just some fuddy-duddy out there listening to podcasts. No, sir. He's also making music, fantastic music up there in Canada and beyond under the moniker Semi-Athletic. You can find him, but you might want to go follow him and see if he takes a picture of his dilly bar, which is in the mail.
Can dilly bars cross international borders?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
You just have to declare it. That's all.
Okay, you declare. How much did you spend on mailing this dilly bar to Canada?
I haven't mailed it yet. I'll tell you tomorrow. I say it's in the mail, but what I mean is on Tuesday when he listens, it'll be in the mail.
Maybe you can just mail a voucher to Canada. That's media mail.
I love that word voucher. It's one of my favorites. You know, we wrapped up all of our thoughts and talks on the very excellent FX Hulu show The Bear last week, but I got another addition to that. Rumors really flying fast and furious now that Taron Egerton could be in talks to be one of the most desired MCU roles yet to be uncast, and that's Wolverine, Logan/Wolverine. But I want to do you one better. I said this online. I'll put it here in the podcast to hear you guys. If Marvel and Kevin Feige don't cast Jeremy Allen White from The Bear as Wolverine, they've missed a amazing chance to make the MCU go to the next level.
I mean, Chef was hitting the gym. Possibly the biggest plot hole is where did he find the time? So he's ready. He's ready. He'd be great.
He's pumped up.
I mean, he's got the look. He seems like short of stature sort of guy compared to the rest of the actors.
He does not seem like a tall man, which is perfect for Wolverine.
To me, it's a no-brainer. He's got the look. I suppose he would have to darken his hair maybe a touch, but that's fine, whatever. He's just a great actor on top of all of that. I think he would level up the X-Men movies, or whatever they're going to call them.
Let me ask you this. At this point in his career, still relatively young career, he's on the most buzzed about show of the year so far, right?
Yeah.
Marvel is maybe not in the healthiest place that it's been in a while.
I would say, speaking of content now financially, wonderful.
They're raking it in.
But
would he do it?
Yeah.
That's the thing with these actors. I'll see, Charlize Theron is going to be in an upcoming Marvel movie, and it's just all these actors that you never would have thought would be in one. The only ones they've never really gotten: Tom Cruise, Daniel Day-Lewis, that sort. Those kinds of guys, and even people who you think would never do it, like Ethan Hawke or Christian Bale.
Yeah.
They get them.
He was a surprise.
Yeah, he was a surprise. So why wouldn't Jeremy Allen White do it? And I don't know. I wish I had some sort of control of casting. Maybe if we have enough listeners kind of get involved, the internet can move and shake things. I'll tell you this, there will be a mini riot on this podcast and our sister podcast, Alabama Slam, if that doesn't happen. It will be a very small riot. I might throw a pen across the room.
I'm all for this idea. I'm just thinking aloud that a lot of the folks that you just listed have already had several decades of prestige work. They are cemented as who they are. Even like something like the Eternals there's just people of a certain generation acting wise now who are in these movies, but it feels like they have less to risk by doing it. Whereas if he were to sign up for that role at this moment, does he need to do... I'm not saying he needs to do anything. He needs to make money being an actor if that's what he wants to do. But if he's thinking through, how do I control the next 20 years of this career that is real hot right now, would there be any reservation in signing up?
That's kind of what I was going to say, because I know that, like, you get locked into these Marvel movies, and it's hard to do the one for... this may come up later, but I do one for me, I do one for them type thing. That could be... I mean, how long was Chris Evans locked into his... he's only now freed from his shackles. It was probably, close to 10 years?
It was.
If that's what he wants to do for the next 10 years, he has to decide if that's what he wants to do for the next 10 years, if he even gets the offer.
The one who will probably end up being Wolverine is Taron Egerton, and he is just killing it on Blackbird, and he would be a very good fit in that role. I just fell in love with Jeremy Allen White through watching The Bear, and I just want to see him. I sincerely think he's an excellent actor. I really think he's good. So is Taron Egerton. They really couldn't go wrong with either one. If anyone's out there watching Blackbird on Apple TV Plus, let me know. I'm itching to talk about that show a lot. Some fantastic acting there. Taron Egerton might level Marvel up if he is cast as Wolverine, honestly. He very well could. He's good. Speaking of good, Patrick Akers, one of our head writers, he's also co-host of Alabama Slam. Hey, here's another actor who could get in the MCU and we could fall in love with him all over again. It's Adam Sandler.
I would, if we get premiere at Adam Sandler at the top of his game, let's get him in the MCU.
Let's go ahead and put him in one of those X-Men roles. Adam Sandler as Mr. Sinister.
Ugh, that would be so cool.
Wouldn't it be cool?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, some of that Punch Drunk Love level of acting and apply it to a Mr. Sinister.
Who was the evil game show host that they had to fight? So
you got me on that one.
Yeah, can you imagine Adam Sandler as an evil game show host?
Yeah, I could. And I'm specifically trying to peg, in my dream casting here, I'm trying to peg Sandler as a villain. That's where I think he could really turn the tables.
I think he would be an excellent villain. Well, and he's got the ability, we saw it in Punch Drunk Love, where he's got that ability to he can get scary angry. Like, usually when he's in his movies, it's funny angry. Right. But he can kind of get scary angry, and I would love to see him use some of that energy in an MCU And the only downside for him is he probably doesn't want to just go to Georgia and film a movie.
Yeah, although I will share this story. One of the times I was in Savannah, Georgia, I walked into a convenience store and the workers there were all abuzz. And we kind of eventually said, "What's going on? Is there something we need to be worried about?" And they were like, "No, Adam Sandler just left."
What was he doing in Savannah?
Okay. Hey, Savannah's a nice vacation spot.
No, Savannah's a nice city.
Yeah. So what are we doing talking about Adam Sandler? So our head writer, Patrick Akers, co-host of Alabama Slam, wrote a piece recently on the AlabamaTake.com, which you can read. It's a long read. The idea that Adam Sandler isn't just good or unique or churning out a bunch of movies. It's that he's one of the greatest actors of all time. Okay, that's the idea here, and that's why we're going to talk about Sandler a lot and try to parse through how we feel about him. And if we think he's okay, good, entertaining, excellent, one of the top actors of all time. I'll also, if I can remember, I'll put that link in the show notes and you can click directly on Patrick's thoughts as well. So I'll start with this. Sandler not getting Oscar love for Uncut Gems is just bullshit.
Robbed. Absolutely robbed.
Totally one of my favorite movies of the last 5 years.
One of the greatest performances I think you're ever going to see. Just the edgy... God, his whole performance kept me the whole movie on the edge of my seat as everybody else was walking out of the theater.
You need to explain this for listeners. People were literally walking out of there.
People were literally... So we started with a half-full theater, and we probably lost about half of those people through as the movie went on. Like, I think they just saw Adam Sandler's name and were like, Adam Sandler! Should be a good time. I think the movie Uncut Gems is hilarious. Like, I think it's one of the... Adam Sandler's funny in it. It's a very funny movie. I was the only person, like, me and my wife were the only people laughing in that theater. It was just stony silence throughout.
Oh, I think it's funny. Yeah. Joining us for this segment, though, is Natalie. We have Natalie with us. She frequently joins. It's always a pleasure. Jump in here on some Adam Sandler talk. Where are you with him?
It's an interesting, Adam told me today, hey, you're going to talk on the podcast today. Go read this article real quick. So I did, skimmed it as best I could.
It's long.
And he told me, I don't mean to throw you under the bus here, but he said you should come talk about it because you're the kind of person that while you like good quality movies, you also will just sit down and watch whatever. Just and enjoy. Like, I am here to be entertained. I don't really care what it is. I mean, there's a limit, obviously. And Adam Sandler's just great at that.
We call those like Sunday afternoon movies, like folding laundry movies, right?
HBO watches.
Yeah, but I'll watch them on a Tuesday night. That's prime time.
All right.
You're speaking to someone who has seen, I think, the entire filmography of The Rock.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You noted Rock fan, Natalie. Well, we've talked about that on this show before. I love that, though, by the way.
Have you seen Ballers, too? Like, even Ballers and stuff like that?
I have watched several episodes of Ballers. It's one of those ones where I really want to watch it with Adam, but he just won't commit.
No, what's funny about that, it used to come on after one of the prestige HBO shows. I can't remember which one, what era that was.
Game of Thrones.
It would have been Game of Thrones or maybe even True Detective. What came on after True Detective? Yep. There was a hilarious season where, like, after Game of Thrones came Girls or something like that. Just like a real hot cold situation. But I actually watched a good bit of Ballers without you. So we need to get together on this, clearly.
Before I exit this tangential conversation, do you have plans to go see Black Adam with The Rock?
I have plans to watch it when it comes on TNT.
Okay, that's fair. But all right, let's get back on course. Adam Sandler, and Natalie, I had pitched you the idea. Is he one of the greatest?
Is he one of the great? I mean, it depends on how we're defining great. I mean, that's such like a broad... He has the greatest body of work, like quality of what he's done, more hits than not. I'm going to watch it if it's on TV. I've maybe even bought a DVD or two. I mean, but like, are we talking like Like, what level of talent is that what we're talking about? Like, it's too broad of a question to me, because what's great to me is not great to you.
You know, Patrick in his article talks about that he's underrated. He's in need of more thoughtful praise. Anytime he gets praise, it's as a backhanded compliment and full of resentment, as if to say, oh yeah, the doofus can do okay sometimes. Is Sandler more than that?
I think, yes, I'll agree that I think there's some truth there, but I also think, I don't know that he's the kind of guy that's looking for it, and I think that's important to note. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think he cares.
I don't either, and I like that in a way.
What made me think of Natalie as I was reading the article was Patrick noting that if something is not pretending to be anything other than what it is, like he had the poster of Adam Sandler, and it's like, who thinks that they're going to see like an Oscar buzz film when you look at this poster and give them money?
The Jack and Jill?
Yeah. Just that the picture of Sandler on the top in particular is just so funny in that one. I agree that you have to think like what are you expecting of someone, and are they allowed to be more than one thing? I mean, I think that's going to be a big part of it, is that we want people to fit in nice, tidy boxes. Like Daniel Day-Lewis is going to be serious, and Tom Hanks is like America's dad, and all these things that help us understand a performance before we get there. And so when I sent you guys that incredible video that's going around Twitter right now of Guy Fieri losing his mind at a Rage Against the Machine concert, there's a bit of a, hear me out, a Guy Fieri effect happening here. Or in the van, we'll often talk about like how Jimmy Buffett is a secret genius. Like, he's written some genuinely good songs, but now he's at a point where all he does is walk on. I say all he does. It takes many years of work and talent and charisma to do this, but he rolls in flip-flops and, like a beach shirt, and entertains thousands and thousands of people and makes just ungodly amounts of money. There's some skill, to go back to Guy and Jimmy Buffett and all these people, that, like, Guy Fieri knows cooking. You know what I mean? He knows food on a really deep level, and he's able to do this thing where he takes these complex ideas, makes it so that I can understand it, and is Natalie's laughing at me as I speak right now. She can't take the Guy comparison.
I dig it. I think that's
all three of these dudes have the same wardrobe.
Yeah. Good time clothes.
God damn it. That's so true.
Good time clothes. But he's taking these big ideas, but the important part, or one of the important parts with Guy, is that he is offering legitimization to restaurants in a strip mall in the middle of the suburbs and all these things that, this family really is like putting a lot into what they're doing. There is thought going on. I think Sandler, I'm not saying that every role he's doing that, but he is technically very good at what he does. Even when he's on screen in a bad movie, he still is carrying that charisma. Got that kind of middle tier that Patrick laid out of like 50 First Dates and Longest Yard and a few others like that. It's like, man, this guy's still, like Natalie said, if you click it on, if it's on cable, it's kind of hard to change the channel once you're there. He's got something going on, in addition to the obvious Uncut Gems level performances.
So I have a Roger Ebert quote.
All right. I love it. You had one last week that knocked me all out of my shoes.
No, that one was Adam had the Roger Ebert quote last week. It was from the New Yorker article.
This is true.
But,
okay.
Do I have something visceral against Adam Sandler? I hope not. I try to keep an open mind and approach every movie with high hopes. It would give me enormous satisfaction and relief to like him in a movie. But I suggest he is making a tactical error when he creates a character whose manner and voice has the effect of fingernails on a blackboard, and then expects us to hang in there for a whole movie. A lot of his comedies, that's the way I feel about them. Fingernails on a blackboard. That specifically came from Roger Ebert's review of The Waterboy. That was the end of The Waterboy, which I thought that Patrick's article was fascinating in the points that it was making about The Waterboy as like trying not to play into Southern stereotypes, and so this is no disrespect to Mr. Akers, but I hate the Water Boy. I can't stand the character in it. I just find his mannerisms and everything so annoying. And so I love him in Punch Drunk Love, and I loved him in Uncut Gems. And I think part of the joy of that was watching him play against type.
There's some of that.
Yeah, was seeing, like, I quote-unquote know Adam Sandler, and then Adam Sandler goes and does something so unexpected. And I would say just off of I've seen 50% of the Prestige movies that Patrick mentioned in his article. I've seen Punch Drunk Love, and I've seen Uncut Gems. And I would say that just off of the performances there, he does make it look easy. He makes it look effortless.
I'm with you. The only part of Patrick's argument I couldn't get on board with was that the Waterboy is good, or I think he really was more or less saying that it's important.
Yes.
And I get that part of his argument for sure. I haven't never looked at the Waterboy that way, but that is probably one of my least favorite Adam Sandler performances ever that I've sat down and watched. But now we've got Adam coming in.
Fellas.
Yeah.
I just love the Waterboy, but I can't. There's a problem for me, and probably for a lot of people roughly my age and Donovan's age, Natalie's age, in that it was some of the first like comedies like that I could watch, and so they were hilarious to me and new and fresh, and I just thought they were great. And I'll still totally get sucked in to the Waterboy if it's on TV and just laugh and laugh and laugh. One of my problems with that portion of Patrick's article has more to do with Deliverance, which I think is a fantastic movie, and I think maybe the read wasn't all there on that one, but that's a debate for another time, perhaps. I see what he's saying about Southern stereotypes. Natalie,
I do too.
Did you? I mean, she had two older brothers. Y'all had to watch like a lot of Billy Madison. And,
Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. I mean, that was must-see viewing every weekend.
Billy Madison's fantastic.
It's something about his mannerisms when he's in those, especially those kind of, he was mentioning those 5 early movies, and I have not seen Big Daddy, so I'm excluding that. But something about, I didn't know that PTA watched it and wanted to cast him Punch Drunk Love. I didn't know that, so now I kind of want to watch it. But there's something about the way he plays his characters, where they're all the same and they all kind of have that same vocal tick, and it's just it's just grates on me. I do not know what it is. I find that when I first, just like Adam said, like I used to love like Adam Sandler doing what Adam Sandler does best. Like I thought his remake of Mr. Deeds, I thought that was just hilarious. It's terrible, but I thought it was hilarious.
You go easy there.
Rewatching it is that fingernails on a chalkboard thing for me. Something about the way he plays it, and I want to figure out what it is. He's the same person and he has the same accent and he's the same dude in these they are prestige films. In these prestige films that I love, that he is incredible in.
I find it very interesting, your entryway into Sandler. Adam, you were talking about the Waterboy. I bet you both, you, Donovan, a lot of others, Natalie, might even have memories of him on Saturday Night Live.
Yes. Well, we had the DVD collections of him and Chris Farley and all. Like, put those out, and those were
must-haves.
They were worn out for sure.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I may be the only one here to remember the first time Sandler made a screen appearance, probably, which was MTV game show Remote Control, where he would come out in different characters each time, and ask trivia questions. God, I love that show so much. And I'll link one in the show notes for one of my favorites, where he comes out and with no explanation, he's just beat up. He's got fake black eye and he's got like fake cut, and they're like, "You okay?" And he doesn't really explain it. He just asks the trivia question. And the show was also so good. It was basically just TV trivia. I hate that MTV killed that show.
I would say that Adam Sandler is one of the actors that I think would be cool to hang out. Like he would be cool to hang out with.
I think so.
Like I want to have a beer with him because he seems like, as Patrick pointed out in his article, you know, he makes these movies like he admittedly makes these movies so that he can go to cool places and hang out with his friends, and he just seems like a mensch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
mm-hmm.
I want to meet him and
wear basketball shorts and chill.
Yeah, exactly. He seems like a fun guy to hang out with.
I'm going to take Uncut Gems off the table. Everybody go around and tell me your favorite Adam Sandler performance. Because mine's Uncut Gems, but I think that might be a couple of ours. We'll take that one out of the equation.
I am going to throw one out there that's not been mentioned. I don't even think it was brought up in the article, but I loved Spanglish.
Nice.
Okay.
That wasn't mentioned, and that was pre-Uncut Gems. That was kind of like the other one that got mentioned along with Punch Drunk Love as like proof that he could do something different.
I'm gonna have to be that. I am those critics that Patrick was railing against. If Uncut Gems is off the table, I'm gonna have to say Punch Drunk Love. He's hilarious. Yeah. He's, you know, as he gets increasingly unhinged, and he's playing against some of the, I mean, he's holding his own against Philip Seymour Hoffman, right? Wow. Like one of the greatest actors of our generation. He's getting increasingly unhinged as, like, he's trying to get Philip Seymour Hoffman, you know, it's just, he shows that he can do it. He's great, he's funny, and he's weird. I can't say much more than he's funny and he's weird. He almost doesn't play against type, but it's almost like he takes that type where, you know, he had that kind of like, always had that like the anger that he would use in a funny way. Yeah. He redirects it so that sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's, God, he's so good in that.
Adam, what are you landing on?
I'm with Donovan.
Okay.
That's
Punch Drunk. Yeah, okay.
Tough to argue as much as I want to stick up for the 90s comedies here. You know, which is maybe I liked the thesis of Patrick's writing. Mm-hmm. Yet we're all still choosing more prestige stuff as our favorite performances.
Yeah. Well, if I can't pick Uncut Gems, I'm going to go with Billy Madison.
Interesting.
There you go.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
Because
he is especially at that time, he was the man child. And so the role kind of just fit him like a glove.
I thought one of the most interesting, that you bring it up, one of the most interesting things about Patrick's article was looking at who's standing on Adam Sandler's shoulders. And I wonder if, since you've chosen Billy Madison, if you have any thoughts on who is standing on his shoulder. Now, Patrick pointed out Judd Apatow, which I think is a really good... I thought that was I don't think I would have made that connection, and I think that was a really smart choice. But do you have any current favorites or anything like that you think are building on that Billy Madison type work?
I'll just say his point about using 40-Year-Old Virgin as kind of like a line in the sand between one era and the next was really, really clever, because there was stuff before it that I love, you know, your Dodgeballs and Anchormans and Old Schools of the world, but that's definitely an extension of Sandler and that SNL cohort's work. Whereas 40-Year-Old Virgin, that is all new territory in that style of comedy. I know he pulled Pineapple Express as his video example, but it's just a whole different thing. And he also points out that, you know, maybe one of Sandler's problems comedically when he's trying to do that is that, you know, what worked in 98 doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
Well, what's the one? I mean, there's the direct, what was it, Funny People? Wasn't that him and all those other Apatow guys? I mean, I feel like that's a pretty clear, like, obviously it wasn't a passing of the torch, but it kind of felt like here's this classic comedian that we grew up with, and then here's the new kids.
That's a pretty good movie.
Dang, he's good in that one too.
Yeah. I forgot about that one.
I actually did too.
I don't know if this guy fits the mold, but Danny McBride would be my...
Yeah, I could see that.
But does he quite fit the mold? I don't know. Maybe.
He does sort of have a broad style of comedy.
Yeah, he can, and he also can get serious. I don't think he's been allowed to do that a lot. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
There's the MCU's next villain, Danny McBride. Put him in something.
But, like, not as a character.
The person that I think that I enjoy the work of the most, and I'm thinking of one movie in particular, is Andy Samberg. And,
nice.
And I think Hot Rod stands on Adam Sandler's shoulders.
Okay,
very well.
That's a good example, and there's a through line between Sandler and Samberg. I agree with that. I do think another through line that you could connect very easily is between Adam Sandler and Pete Davidson. And I do not like Pete Davidson's work at all. I think he's doing a very similar Sandler thing, but nowhere near as great. And Natalie, you were nodding. What are you thinking?
Well, I agree. I think there's a very clear line between Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg, Pete Davidson. I mean, you could just draw a straight line between those three people. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, didn't Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg do a movie where one plays the other's dad or something? These lines are so clear, everybody sees it, and they're all making money off of it.
Yeah, excellent article. If you haven't had a chance, go read it, then come back, give us a listen, and you can follow along. Let us know what you guys think. We're going to take a little break. On the other side, we're going to talk the movie from Jordan Peele, Nope. We'll spoil it a little. We'll give you a line before we start spoiling it. We'll just split up our segments to keep you updated on what's happening at our publishing site, thealabama.Take.com. Of course, you'll stay quite updated yourself if you follow The Alabama Take on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. But ain't socials tricky? They have this thing now where they want to show you what they want you to see rather than what you want to see. So the podcast, The Alabama Slam, hits airwaves each Friday morning. Be sure to subscribe to them in your podcast app. If you're a fan of wrestling, you do not want to miss it. It's the one and only, I'd say. Superfan Corey Hanna, a seasoned interviewer, sits down with former indie wrestler Patrick Akers, and they break down the big storylines each week. No need for more from a wrestling fan. Subscribe to our YouTube channel because all of our podcasts are there now. Even better, you can watch Short Takes, which just wrapped its second season. Lastly, if you are on the alabama.Take.com, you can click on Shop. You can get yourself anything with any of our logos, from the Done Up Real Good phrase to the Alabama Take itself. Go have a look around. Let's get back into our talks. Okay, let's talk about Jordan Peele's latest movie, Nope. Once we really get going, we will have a spoiler discussion, but to begin, let's just talk about some general things. Nope is Jordan Peele's third as writer and director. Donovan, how'd you feel about his other two movies, Get Out and Us?
Get Out was obviously, I think the general consensus was it was amazing. Mm-hmm. Didn't they film that one down in Fairhope? That's just a total side note, but I think they filmed it in Fairhope, Alabama.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. Us was probably a million times messier than Get Out, but also I really liked how weird it was, and just there was something very visceral about it. And it was anchored by, I'm going to forget her name. Is it Lupita Nyong'o?
That's right. She's so great.
Her performance in that film totally kills it. I found Us to be, Get Out is very disturbing. I found Us to be almost scarier.
Yes.
I found Get Out is disturbing, and especially with especially with the racial overtones. Mm-hmm. Us that Jordan Peele is obviously bringing in, and Us obviously has some of that, but there's something just very creepy and unsettling about Us, and he's really able to make a movie where one of my favorite things of that he does is he'll keep the camera on something just long enough until you realize one thing is wrong.
Yeah. And that happens in Nope on occasion.
Yes, it does.
Us is visually unsettling and disturbing a lot more, I think, than maybe Get Out can Yes. You know, it took me a while after seeing Us before I started to appreciate it and get what it was trying to do. I thought that the ending was a little too drawn out, but I did like it. And the farther removed I am from that movie, the more I like it. The deeper I think that it is, and it just strikes me as a really great movie after a while.
There's something, you know how I said it was messier, and I think but I really liked it. And I think the reason I really liked it is that it is such a visual movie that it sticks with you. And it's not, I don't think it's supposed to 100% work, and I don't think it's trying to 100% work at the, I'm going to sit down and figure this all out and it's going to make 100% sense. I think it's more imagistic, and and that stuff will, it's almost like, this is going too far, but it's almost like some of David Lynch's stuff, where I have no idea what's going on, but it sticks with me.
Right, it's the aesthetics that creates a certain tone. That's well, before we run anyone off with spoilers, did you like Nope?
Yep, I did like it.
There it is. All right, well let's start spoiling some things. So come back to us, pick it up right here, if you haven't seen it. One thing definitely kept me enjoying the movie Nope was it was never slow or boring.
No, it wasn't.
It's very well paced. It's a perfect pacing for a movie that's about 2 hours long. It's actually a little over that, but it never feels like
2 hours and 15 minutes, but it doesn't feel long. I felt very proud of myself. So I did read some reviews after seeing the movie, but I walked out of the movie thinking, oh, it's Space Jaws.
Huh.
Then I read A.O. Scott's review in the New York Times where he talks about how it is kind of like Jaws, and Peele is playing with some of Spielberg's favorite imagery, especially the looking up in wonder. But in this time, he's reversing it, and there's horrible things coming out of the sky at you. So I felt very proud of myself for coming up with that before reading the article.
Well, you're a seasoned film guy. I will say, glancing online, do you get the feel that there's this frustration with the film because its social commentary isn't as obvious or ham-fisted?
I think that people were going into it maybe expecting one thing and getting something else, because it's social it is obviously has, I think it obviously has some message. Although I'm not 100% sure what that is yet.
As Jordan Peele, or as we, as audiences, I think is more to blame more than Jordan Peele. Have audiences pushed him into this corner where everything he does has to have huge social ramifications?
I think yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. And I think that, I think it was Odie Henderson on RogerEbert.com said that part of the joy of this film was you could tell Jordan Peele was making a movie just for himself because he wanted to. Because he was making a movie he was doing things that appealed to him. And I think that really does come through. I think that is one of the fun things about this movie, and I think it does come through. Well, kind of at the end of the day, love it or hate it, it's what he wanted to do.
I'm going to step out on the ledge here and say this movie may be a little better than Get Out and Us because...
Oh, really?
Because it's got a few more layers. It's got a few more bits of complexity.
Okay.
I think every movie, television show, music has some sort of social commentary. I think it might be very simplistic, superficial, but I think everything has social commentary. Critic Matt Zoller-Seitz is famous for saying everything's political.
Yes.
And I'm on board with that idea.
Because it helps you define, even in your own mind, what is possible. It helps you imagine. It shows the limits and boundaries of what we're capable of thinking of and imagining. And so I would definitely agree with that.
So let's just start unraveling some of what I think are the complexities.
So I have a question for you because you were talking about the complexities. What do you make of Gordy and the Gordy plotline? That one is really tricky, and I think that he made a movie where nothing is wasted. So I think that it's commenting on other parts of the movie, But that one is really kind of perplexing to me.
That's the most perplexing aspect of the movie to me too, and I was hoping you had a lot of opinions on it, because I was going to ask you the same thing. If our listeners want more real life horror, I am going to put in the show notes a link to one of our pals, Kevin Holbrook. He hosts a podcast called Where's the Line. Their first episode details a lady who owned a chimp who attacked another lady and basically did exactly what you see in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I remember reading about that.
Mm-hmm. But he details it and lays it out for you. Plus, his podcast is really good, even right from the jump. Episode 1, it's well researched, and I love Kevin. So he's been a guest on this show many years ago. But I'm going to link to that. Gives you something to play around with if you've seen Nope. What is Gordy doing in this movie? Well, the opening frame is of this Gordy incident, right?
Yeah. So it's obviously, it's not peripheral to the movie.
No.
It's obviously integral.
The only thing I've thought about that I feel like I can share is the camera sure does linger on that shoe, which never, it's sitting in such an awkward position, it's almost like it's hovering.
Yes.
Did these aliens prompt Gordy's action, much like they're prompting the horses to be unsettled or jumpy?
Oh, I never even thought of that. I thought it was maybe talking more about what you can and can't tame.
Oh, for sure. Yes.
I think it was A.O. Scott interpreted it as thinking about kind of like the ethics behind the movies that I've seen a couple of people say this movie's about making movies.
Yes, I have too.
His thoughts on it were, and I don't always agree with A.O. Scott, but I thought this was kind of interesting, were that it's about the ethics of what goes into what you see and what we choose to think about and enjoy, and what we sweep under the rug. And he kind of ties that in with the horses because they're all on the back end of things. They're on the craftsman side,
right,
of making movies.
Peele is making some statements, purposefully or not, about ethics, for sure. One of my favorite parts of the movie was, there's an idea, I think, going about don't look, don't provoke what you're not supposed to, which goes hand in hand with don't try to tame what you're not supposed to. Now, what really helped me come to that conclusion was, there's that TMZ motorcyclist who comes at the end. Not only do they never show his face, so it could be just any asshole, but notice that Jordan Peele doesn't bother to give it any kind of coy name, like hint, hint, this is TMZ. No, he says,
he just says this is TMZ.
And these are assholes who live to capitalize off of bullshit and pain, mostly. So that's an ethics.
They're trying to get a shot, and he's trying to be the first to get his exclusive in this, at the same time that they're trying to be the first people to get the shot of the creature. So I think it's so that they can save their ranch. Their Oprah shot, I believe they call it.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot about like, don't play with things beyond your control. Mm-hmm. Although interestingly enough, it seems that at the end of the movie, the posse kind of comes together, and they do actually get their shot with the hand crank camera,
which is the final image of the movie, right?
Yeah.
Which is the shot from the well.
Yes.
Sort of accidental almost. Not accidental, but the shot from the well. Not how they thought they were going to get the image. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
And also, it's a story about a black family wanting to make money off something that's trying to kill them via invasion.
Yes.
That's a message, I think, that's worthy of examination and maybe intentional.
I think that's a really good point. Once again, I find myself having trouble talking about this movie because I feel like there's a lot of really visual stuff going on in this movie.
Right.
The downpour at their house was one of the highlight scenes for me. Just the scenes with the blow up wavy car dealership things.
Yeah.
Those things that are great. The fake horse that comes through the window.
Right.
But yeah, I think you've hit something on the head there where there's a black family trying to make it in a predominantly in a white dominated field, movies.
Exactly.
And they do, stunts with horses and stuff like that. They're trying to get their horses back because he's had to sell some of those horses. And
sadly, yeah.
This thing is trying to take their land and trying to take where they live.
Yeah.
Because it's a predator, and that's what it does. It's not evil. It's like Jaws, There's no evil in it. It's just like a force of nature. Which I think is kind of interesting.
Jordan Peele's not the kind of guy he seems highly intelligent, so starting the movie...
I'd say so.
Yeah. Starting the movie with a character named OJ, a black character named OJ, I don't feel like Peele just does that just for the one joke.
No.
Did you have any reckoning with that?
I did not. Besides him being Otis, obviously his name is Otis Jr., and it was a pretty funny joke when his name's OJ.
Yeah.
Your name's OJ? Otis Jr. If there is a deeper meaning to that, it's currently eluding me.
So it was probably the least scary of Jordan Peele's three. I don't know if you'll agree with me on that.
I would say it was very suspenseful.
I guess. Yeah.
There was a lot of tension and build up.
Oh yes.
I would agree that it was the least scary, and that there weren't really like a lot of jump scares. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the way it worked.
Nope.
It was more suspense and playing with the audience's sense of what is suspenseful, and what you can't see is scarier than what you can see. Mm-hmm. Up until the end, when they really do show the alien a lot, which I'm not sure if that was. I don't know if I 100% would have agree with that decision, because I think it was more suspenseful when it was just a dark shape in the clouds.
Yeah.
But that's what I loved about that rain scene, is the creatures dropping all the stuff that it's eaten from people onto their house, and you can't look up at it.
Yeah, the leftovers of what it doesn't need.
Yeah, and that was just... I just thought that was so suspenseful, because it's right over you, and you cannot look up at it, and that's almost something out of a nightmare.
Wow, yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. And Peele does all this not in some sort of confined setting, but he uses the vastness to create that suspense. Where
yes, he does.
You get the feeling that the danger could swoop in at any time, and he does a good job of staging so that it's this sense of place that's wide open and you have nowhere to hide.
Yes, and I think he really uses... You've hit the nail on the head there. He really uses that landscape with especially when the thing is just in the clouds. Mm-hmm. And it's beautiful. I don't know who did the cinematography for this, but they did a good job. It's beautiful vistas of... I think the ranch is supposed to be... Someone said it's supposed to be in California. Of sweeping cloudscapes and landscapes. It change as the movie goes on. It changes so that it feels more like there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. Because the thing is always above you. There's a couple times where people do escape by going into houses or things like that.
Yeah.
But to really interact with the creature, you've got to be outdoors.
Kudos to Peele and his cinematographer too. I was never confused as to where the trouble was. A lot of movies, especially horror movies, you lose a sense of place a little, like exactly where is this thing? I was never confused on where the danger was.
Yeah.
Unless it was like specifically supposed to be a little bit hidden, but I'm speaking a lot to the climax. I thought the climax was excellent.
I did too.
You're talking about the tension, and that's where it really boils over, where OJ, the character of OJ, Daniel Kaluuya, was on horseback and having to do a lot of the things. The guy with the motorcycle shows up. They're trying to film it. They're all on walkie-talkies. Power goes in and out. That was a really great climactic set of scenes, I thought, and well shot.
And I just mentioning the actors, we've talked about the movies without mentioning the actors too much, but I thought Daniel Kaluuya and
Keke Palmer,
I thought that they played really nicely off of each other, with OJ being more introverted, and Daniel Kaluuya was really good at kind of Peele likes to do a couple close-ups of his face because he's got that kind of sad-eyed cowboy look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's really good at that. And then Keke Palmer is more outgoing and extroverted, so you don't have to be quite up as close on her. They had that sibling dynamic really down.
Oh yeah, Daniel Kaluuya is really easy to watch as an actor. You really feel he's tired of his being tired of the drudgery of life and his annoyance with his extroverted sister while he's more of an introverted guy. Yes, it's really good. The sound design, I don't know about your theater, but the sound design where I was just a chef's kiss emoji there.
Oh yeah, mine was it was excellent.
And I think
that's part of what helped. That's part of what helped ratchet up the suspense.
I think so too.
And especially whoever they got to do the electronics going in and out.
Yeah, that
started to feel really creepy as those things would kind of, that was, it sounded great.
It did sound great. It really makes you appreciate having seen it in the theater where you get the best of that.
I agree. This is definitely a theater. I would say it'll probably be fun when it comes out on HBO or whatever it comes out on.
Sure.
But I'm glad that I saw it in a theater just because it felt like a movie. They're trying to make a movie the whole time, in a sense, and it felt like that was the way it was intended to be seen in a theater.
Yeah, and it fit. It works that way. So far, I've seen all of Jordan Peele's movies in the theater. I've been lucky enough to be able to do that. I can't wait to see what's next. I hope he continues kind of down this more subtle path where he leaves me a little quizzical at the end, but still enjoying it.
Yeah, I think that I could rewatch this movie and rewatch it with pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite authors, his definition of a great book was one that you can reread with increasing pleasure. I want to think more about the connection between Gordy and I don't even really want to call him Stephen Yeun's character. I don't even really want to call him a huckster or a shyster.
No, he doesn't venture quite into that realm.
No, but the connection between Gordy and him kind of playing with forces that he probably shouldn't be playing with, and I don't know, I feel like there's a connection with the way that the horses can be tamed.
And there's also Stephen Yeun's characters capitalizing off of tragedy,
Yes.
So.
Yeah. There were some really great, I thought there was some really great editing and scenes when he's kind of remembering, but he's saying, "Oh, you just watched the SNL sketch. The SNL sketch captures what happened better than I could ever describe it." But then it kind of intercuts back with what he remembers, and it's terrifying.
Oh, it's horrifying. And that is truly one of the more scary moments.
That was very scary.
Yeah.
Because that's actually happened.
Yeah, exactly. We'll link that, like I talked about earlier. We'll link that in the show notes so you can listen to Where's the Line, which details that stuff very, very well. We probably could say more. For the sake of time, we'll just wrap it here. Maybe when Adam gets around to watching Nope, we can sprinkle a few more thoughts in a future episode. But that's it for us. Follow the Alabama Take on social media. Say hello to us. Follow our family of podcasts. We'll see you next Tuesday.